The night sky over occupied Europe is alive with electricity. It is the summer of 1943, and in the still hours before midnight, the German radar network hums with mechanical precision. Inside a dark, windowless bunker on the French coast, young men in gray uniforms lean over glowing cathode screens, the air around them thick with tobacco smoke and the low throb of generators buried beneath concrete floors. Each pulse of the transmitter sends invisible fingers out into the void, and each echo returning to the green glass carries a message, a whisper from the darkness. To these operators, the radar is not just a machine, it is an extension of their own senses. The sky outside might be vast and unknowable, but here, in the bunker's stale air, the unseen becomes visible, and the invisible becomes controllable. The thin white traces sweep across their screens, painting the night with ghosts of bombers miles away. Every flicker means life or death for the cities they protect. They trust what they see. They believe in the science that gives them eyes in the dark. But what they don't yet know, what they can't yet imagine, is that somewhere out there, beyond the coastline, beyond the reach of their antennas, the Americans have found a way to make them blind. The first signs come quietly, so quietly that no one notices at first. A faint static hiss creeps into the receiver, like wind brushing through dry grass. The operator adjusts his controls, narrows the beam, taps the screen to sharpen the trace. For a moment, the signal clears, the incoming formation of Allied bombers is still there, crawling toward them like a constellation of death. But then the hiss grows louder. The trace becomes blurry, then splits, then vanishes altogether. Confusion ripples through the room. Another operator on a nearby console reports the same problem. The duty officer steps closer, his boots echoing on the concrete floor. He peers at the flickering screen, then at the row of trembling needles and dials that should be steady. Check the frequency, he orders. It must be atmospheric interference. They recalibrate, retune, recheck every circuit. The signals return briefly, just enough to give hope, then vanish again. Outside, the distant drone of engines begins to rise. The radar should be screaming with data, yet it shows nothing. The bombers are there. The operators can hear them, feel them in their bones. But the machines, their trusted eyes, have gone blind. And that blindness, though they cannot yet grasp it, is not an accident of weather or machinery. It is deliberate. Somewhere high above the English Channel, aboard a lumbering B-17 bomber, a new kind of weapon has come to life, not a gun, not a bomb, but a transmitter. It pulses invisible energy, tuned precisely to the frequency of German radar. Its signal floods the air with false echoes, overwhelming the receivers below. What the German operators hear as static is, in fact, the sound of their defeat beginning. The Americans have learned how to jam the very sense upon which the Luftwaffe's night defenses depend. With every burst of noise, with every pulse of artificial chaos, the Allied aircraft steal another moment of invisibility. The bombers continue forward, their paths undisturbed, their formations unbroken. Below, the German defenses scramble in the dark, seeing ghosts on their screens and hearing nothing but noise in their headsets. The operators turn dials, flip switches, replace vacuum tubes, even switch to backup frequencies, but the blindness persists. The radar's once reliable pulse now paints only lies. The tension in the bunker rises. Sweat glistens on pale faces under the dim amber lamps. A sergeant swears softly under his breath, trying to keep the panic from his voice as he reports to command, no reliable readings. Multiple false returns. The colonel at headquarters refuses to believe it. He orders more triangulation, more verification. Somewhere in the confusion, a flight of German night fighters is scrambled, blind, relying on voice directions that mean nothing now. They climb into a moonless sky where nothing can be trusted. The radar plots show dozens of phantom bombers, ghost squadrons that don't exist. The pilots chase illusions, burning precious fuel as they search for an enemy that has already passed them by. Below, anti-aircraft guns wait for coordinates that never come. Spotlights sweep empty skies, their cones of light crossing like swords, searching for something, anything, to shoot at. And above all of it, beyond the clouds, the American bombers thunder onward, unseen and unstoppable. For the German radar operators, the realization comes slowly, painfully. They are not just facing a mechanical fault, they are under attack, not by bombs or bullets, but by science itself. The Americans have turned the very airwaves into a battlefield. Every pulse of radar energy that the Germans send out is met by a counterpulse, a mocking echo of noise. It is as if the night itself has decided to rebel, to conceal the enemy from sight. One operator, his hands trembling, stares at the blank sweep of his screen and whispers, "We've gone blind." The phrase spreads from room to room, from bunker to bunker, until it becomes a quiet, bitter truth. They can hear the bombs falling now, the deep, rolling thunder from distant cities, but they never saw the planes that dropped them. Their radars, once the pride of German engineering, have been turned into instruments of confusion. The Allies have found the weakness, and they have exploited it perfectly. As the raids intensify, the Germans realize that this is not an isolated incident. Each new night brings the same pattern: signals vanish, ghost echoes appear, false targets multiply. Every frequency they switch to becomes corrupted within minutes. It's as if the enemy knows their systems intimately, and in a way, they do. British intelligence and American engineers have studied captured German radar units, dissected them, learned their secrets, and built countermeasures tailored to each one. The war of machines has become a war of frequencies, a duel of invisible waves where the victor is not the one who shoots faster, but the one who listens smarter. In the corridors of the German High Command, frustration turns to anger. Reports of radar blindness pour in from across the Western Front. Some officers refuse to believe that the Americans possess such technology, others fear that this is only the beginning of something worse, a total collapse of their air defense system. Back in the radar bunkers, the men keep working, though they know the odds are against them. They recalibrate their scopes, trying to filter out the noise. They attempt to synchronize with nearby stations, hoping to triangulate a true signal through the fog of deception. But each attempt ends the same way, with confusion, static, and the eerie silence of machines that once spoke clearly. The younger operators, still new to the war, ask if the jamming might be temporary, if perhaps it's a trick of the weather. The veterans know better. They have seen too much, heard too much. They know that once the enemy learns how to blind your eyes, he never gives that power back. The Americans now control the air not only with their planes, but with the invisible hand of technology. Every bomb that falls tonight does so because somewhere, a radar screen has been silenced. Outside the bunker, the night burns. The sky glows red on the horizon where cities are hit. The ground trembles with distant impacts. The operators can do nothing but listen. They hear the explosions as vibrations through the concrete walls. They know that each rumble means another part of their homeland burning, another signal lost. When the all-clear finally sounds, hours later, the men emerge from the bunker into a world that smells of smoke and ozone. They look up at the stars, the same stars they once used to navigate, and they seem strangely dim now, like eyes half closed in exhaustion. The war has entered a new phase. It is no longer just a contest of courage or numbers, but a contest of intelligence, of invention, of who can control the unseen. In the following days, technicians work frantically to adapt. They try new filters, adjust transmission power, even rebuild antenna arrays in the hope of resisting the jamming. But the Allies are always one step ahead. Their scientists, working in secret laboratories in Britain and America, refine their jamming techniques nightly, learning from every raid. They develop new systems, window, carpet, mandrel, and jostle, each designed to confuse a different radar frequency or deceive a different defense network. The Germans respond with countermeasures of their own, but they are too slow, too reactive. Each time they patch one weakness, the Allies open another. The operators soon learn to live with the chaos. They take pride in moments of clarity, a single echo spotted amid the static, a brief glimpse of a real target before it fades again. But those moments are rare. More often, they are left staring at meaningless noise, trying to make sense of patterns that no longer mean anything. In the end, it's not just their machines that are blinded, it's their faith. Faith in their training, faith in their technology, faith in their ability to protect the skies. The radar rooms that once buzzed with confident commands now echo with silence and despair. The screens still glow, but they reveal nothing. The sweep arm still turns, but it paints only lies. Somewhere deep inside, each operator understands that they are witnessing the future of warfare, a future where battles will be fought not just with steel and fire, but with signals, codes, and frequencies. The Americans have not only found a way to hide their bombers, they have found a way to rewrite the rules of sight itself. And as dawn breaks over the smoldering ruins of another German city, the operators file out of their bunker, exhausted, hollow-eyed, and defeated. They have seen, or rather, failed to see, what happens when science becomes a weapon sharper than any blade. Their radar sets, once symbols of technological pride, now stand as silent monuments to a new kind of warfare. The men who once watched the skies in confidence now look at their own hands, wondering how they could be so powerless. For the first time since the war began, the defenders of the Reich realize that the enemy has not only mastered the skies, he has mastered the very act of seeing. And from that night onward, the German radar operators would never look at the glow of their screens the same way again.